So welcome to Boxing Media Hub, proudly in partnership with Falcon Contracting and Jam's Boxing Chat, and we are live. Yes, welcome to Boxing Media Hub, and I'm sure you recognise the wonderful young lady beside me. No, my wife's not sat in the room. I have to basically state that. But I've got Shauna O'Keefe. She's on, and she's going to be with me weekly from now on. And I'm not allowed to call you Shauna Brown, am I? Even though everyone else.
Shauna O'Keefe. I'm actually getting it fixed this week. I have to pay.
Good.
I have to pay quite a substantial amount of money to a solicitor just to get it officially fixed, so I can give it today. So I can give it to Boxrec and so on and so forth. So it will no longer be Shauna Brown. Like, my head is gone since my fight in August. Everybody's like Shauna Brown, and I'm like, lads, I've had a whole career of Shauna O'Keefe, and it feels like Shauna O'Keefe's not even existing anymore, because now the world rankings are being announced and it's Shauna Brown. I'm like, oh my god, yeah.
So
No,
just to tidy it up, that's a previous name, and we're now.
I'm sticking to Shauna O'Keefe. Shauna Brown will no longer exist after this week.
Right, okay. So that's the topic of conversation this week. should Shauna keep her? No.
It's been the topic of conversation since bloody January, since my fight in Oz. I see it under the rankings when one of the guys from Belfast put it, Steve. He put up about my WBA world ranking, and a fella
Yeah.
wrote under, "What's the story with our second name?" I'm like, lads, what is going on? It's
I think we
only a
should put it out
second
as a
name.
poll. I think we should put it out as a poll for what you should
Hugh,
have.
I bet it, right. Shauna O'Keefe will win. Shauna Brown is browned off. Browned off.
I think that's because people are frightened of you. If you say it's O'Keefe, people are just going to say O'Keefe, aren't they? Let's be perfectly honest. It's just the way it's going to be. But they've jumped in already. Håkan, all the way from Sweden. Good evening, Joel and Shauna. And he's put the Irish flag. He's on a winner already, isn't he? Big up Joel and Shauna, and looking forward to the first episode of this show. Looking forward to Joel and Shauna weekly.
Yes.
I'm guilty of it. I always put Shauna Brown in brackets O'Keefe. That's going to be sorted now, so don't worry. But this week's episode, we're finally getting around to it 3 minutes in, is now. It's a big topic, I would say, wouldn't you? It's a big talking point, has been for some time. 2-minute rounds or 3-minute rounds for women in boxing. I think that's the big sticky point. I think it's one of those, isn't it? People look at it very differently. To you, it's not really a sticky point, is it, Shauna?
No, I've had my opinion about it since the first day I've heard about it. So obviously it's been on the talking point since I turned over. I heard about it last year, and I just don't think it's a good move, because the 2 minutes are quick. They're super fast and they're super exciting, and I think that's what gives the women. That's what gives our sport that edge. That's why people get really involved in it. I know people are saying the extra minute they'll get the knockout, so on and so forth. They may not. The extra minute might make the women slow down, become even more cagey. Their bodies, it's a scientific fact also, we looked into it. When women you compete 3 minutes, they actually need a minute and a half break compared to men. So I just think it's going to take it out. Can I just state an obvious, right? The only person that actually did it is Amanda Serrano. She did 12 threes. And
Yeah.
lads, I'm all for Katie Taylor. She's my number one, always has been. But Amanda Serrano has my heart as well. Her style of boxing is actually very like mine. She's an exciting fighter. She just goes for it, and I love it about it, right? But she did the 12 threes, and I had to turn off the fight after the fourth round. I was so bored. And then I went back to it the following day, and lads, she fatigued so badly by the 8th and 9th round that she was gassed out. She had nothing in her tank, nothing in her punches. It was terrible. And she did not stop the woman. So
Yeah, yeah,
why don't people focus on what has actually happened? It's proof in the pudding. It's boring, and you're not getting a quicker knockout. It's not. Amanda wasn't in with a high level fighter either for that fight.
yeah,
She
yeah,
should have
yeah.
taken her, and she didn't. So proof is in the pudding. We've tried and tested. It failed miserably. Leave the women's boxing as it is. The other factor that I've also brought into my mind in the last week, are women going to be paid more? Because women are going to be doing the same rounds as men. Women are starting to look for more money because obviously the fights are exciting. They're going up against it. They're taking fights that are handed to them now.
Yeah.
But the paycheck is nowhere near the men's, and it's for a reason, lads. So are they going to start bringing money out of nowhere to pay the women the same as the men if we change to the trees the same as the men?
This is the thing, isn't it? But you're always going to have the crowd of people or those other people that are turning around and saying, look, women should be on the same level, as in they should be entitled to doing 3 rounds. They should do the same. And I understand that. I'm all for equality, and I know you are. We're all for equality, but as you say, maybe we should look at the equality of money as opposed to rounds. I think the 2 rounds have got women to this point in boxing where, as you say, they are exciting to watch. Do you know what? I love watching women. I don't even like calling it women's boxing now. It's just
It's
boxing. But
boxing.
I
Yes.
love seeing women box. That's probably the best way to describe it. I love seeing women box. Some
Yeah.
of the best fights over the last couple of years, Shauna, have been the women. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
No offense to men, lads. Not saying about all fighting, but I've been saying it for a while. Lads, the women go in and get it done. It at the end of the day, it's 2 minutes. You can't leave a second for chance. That second you're dancing around and it's wasted, right? The other thing that I was thinking, obviously before our call, that I know they're giving out about the there not being enough knockouts. Maybe get the women sitting down a bit more, get the women slowing down on their punches, swiveling through a bit more, see if their S&C plan is up to scratch for what they need. There's loads of factors you can look into in their camp as opposed to actually changing the time. I can guarantee you, and we can have this live right now, because there is a possibility they may change it by the end of this year, lads. Women's boxing will decline terribly, I firmly believe, if it goes to threes. I don't think people would tune in. They won't, because there won't be anything to tune in. It'll just get slow, it'll get boring. Some of the male fights at 3 threes, no offense, they dance around and look at each other for maybe 4 rounds, and then they might get into it maybe in the 6th round and they've another 6 to go. Do they
Yeah.
want women to do the same? Because there is a possibility that's going to happen. People tune out. People want to see two fighters just get in and get the job done, man. Go in, it's kill or be killed. Go in with the instinct that you're going to leave absolutely everything in the
Yeah.
canvas.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the time whether it's 2 or 3s. Me personally, women suit 3s much better. But like the men are showing the 3s. Some of them just some of them show up to fight, some of them run. Some females are guilty of it also, lads. Both have part to play. It's whoever shows up to want to fight, want to win on the day. I don't really think it matters about the time in the ring. Um, the time in the ring, but the women, there will be a massive decline. I guarantee you. I've been saying it. That's why I've been so passionate about this. Do not change it. I think it'll ruin what we're doing, and that is working so well for our sport. Like women's boxing this year, I believe, is going to catapult, because
Yeah.
there's fights
Yeah.
happening. Since Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, number 2, lads, boxing has just went like that for the females. It's taken to a whole new level, which is brilliant, because when I turned over, I was so worried. It felt like it was kind of on the decline because there wasn't many female fights happening. It just went really dead. But since their fight, which was unbelievable, I've definitely
Mhm.
marked it one of the best female fights ever. My favorite one that I seen was Christy Martin and Deirdre Gogarty.
Yeah.
Like, it trumps that. It actually trumps that, right? But that was 10 twos, man. Do you know the other argument that I also have? Change it to 12 twos.
Get
Add
it
two
all
more
out.
rounds.
Get it all out, Shauna. Get it all
Yeah,
out.
add two more rounds. Make it 12 twos rather than 10 twos. 12 twos maybe for a European British level title, world level 10, 12 twos, whatever way you want to work it. Just add
Yeah, yeah.
more rounds. Do not add the time, because the other thing that needs to be factored in, they also need the training for these extra minutes in the extra rounds. We're going to go from doing 20 minutes to 36. That's a significant amount of
Yeah,
difference.
yeah.
Massive. So are they going to give like 6 months to prepare? 3 months? Do you just use this to prepare for a world title the same? Yeah, I just don't believe there's any factor that makes sense for this to be changed at all.
Well, that's where me and Jan were sitting. We said 12 twos would be so much better. If you're going to change something, that seems the better change first before jumping. Do you know what I mean? If you were going to change the threes eventually, like if it does happen, 12 twos surely is the first port of call before you would step to that anyway. You'd up it gradually. You wouldn't just push straight into the next. As you say, look at the time difference. That's massive. And if you've got the likes of Amanda Serrano, who, let's be honest, she lives and breathes the sport, doesn't she? She trains like there's no tomorrow, and she gives everything. If she's gassing at like 8-9 rounds, what's it going to be like for the other girls? And that's no offense to the others, but the others that aren't aesthetically built like Amanda Serrano had that same hunger and instinct. Obviously, Shauna O'Keefe's a different outfit, as we can tell. Not being horrible, I'm still trying to build my shoulders, but this is just where it's at. I think it needs to be a gradual thing. Jam has said the same. 12 2 minutes would definitely be better than 10 threes. Hawkan, I love the 2 minute rounds, have been to the best fights. Taylor versus Serrano. Oh, here he goes. He's going to start reeling them off. Taylor versus Cameron. Cameron versus Taylor 2. Shields versus Marshall. Cracking fights there. And it's such a jammy git. He gets to all of these.
And something you'd even say is some of the fights that you watched, even the Amanda Serrano, you would have loved if there was another 2 rounds in that fight. In both.
Yeah.
Even in all the fights that he just named out. You would have loved if there was an extra 2-minute rounds, because normally what happens, it gets like you're on the edge of your chair by like give or take the 6th, 7th round, and then you're like, oh my god, there's only 3 more rounds, you'd want more. So give them more, which is 2 more, and that's enough.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's at. I think, as you say, we need to go up to 12 2 minutes. It might not even go those extra 2 rounds, but to have them there instead of an extra minute in each round just makes sense for me. I used to want 3-minute rounds, says Jan, but boxing has erupted since, and I love the 2 minutes now. Do you know what I was all for? Because I'm all for equality. I want people to have the equal opportunities. I want people to be on a level playing field as much as they can be. Obviously, we know that's not the case in a lot of things. But I just think now the way it's captured the audience, and as you say, they come out, they give 100% in that time frame. I just think it's exciting sometimes to have that female fight in the middle of a card of all blokes can absolutely be the barnstormer that makes you want to keep watching the rest of the program, because otherwise, like you say, you end up being numb. It's boring. Some of the fights are just, as you say, to get going. Don't get me wrong, it's not with all fighters, but there's a lot of fighters out there who take the first 5 rounds to get going. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's madness. You can't do that in the women's game. You can't. You have to be out the block and you have to get straight in there. And that's what I love about 2-minute rounds. The same as you, Shauna. Exactly the same. Fire as you go straight out the gate, and the passion level. And some of the women we are now seeing in this sport are just incredible. Absolutely incredible. And that's why we see the influx of young girls coming to the gym now and wanting to get into boxing, because of the likes of Katie Taylor, Serrano, Shields, all those girls who are literally putting it all on the line and showing how good they are. Shauna, obviously, you're waving the flag for Ireland. As soon as Katie goes, I know 100% you're taking the torch anyway, if not already got it. I think you've just got it in you. And like after the interview, if you haven't seen it, people watch it. She's really good. She's just got this passion. And I think that's the next thing, is looking at the grassroots again. Is it going to affect the next generation? You have to make it attractive for the next generation as well, don't you? And I think 2-minute rounds, say 12 2-minutes, would be more attractive than them having 3-minute rounds. And I think it would be a lot more of a struggle. I really do. Yeah, it's almost double the ring time. It's too much to put on straight away. Build to that. I reckon Shauna could do 12 3-minutes herself, though. She's like the Energizer Bunny. There's no bunny there. She's, in the nicest terms, Shauna is a beast. I've seen the way she trains, and it's unreal. My muscles are still very close to hers, but she is still ahead. If Shauna could see any female fight from the past in 12 3-minute rounds, who would it have been and why? That's a good one. I like that, Jam. It's got to be one of those classic four, isn't it? That Hawkan came out with, I suppose, isn't it? Your Taylor Serrano,
I would go Amanda Serrano and Katie, and the only reason being, right, is because it would dim in all the hearsay, because Amanda Serrano believes she'll stop Katie Taylor with the extra minute. I don't believe that happened. I believe Amanda Serrano would gas out, and I believe Katie Taylor would dance around for 12 threes. Katie Taylor also is another woman that's a Duracell bunny. She'll keep going no matter what. I spoke to Ross, like she could do up to 15 twos in a camp, lads. That's Katie Taylor. She has that engine that just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Her feet can keep going no matter what. So I believe Katie would dance rings around Amanda Serrano even more, even better, even more clinically than the 10 twos, because Katie does like to get caught in a fight. She does like going toe to toe, and I don't believe that would happen in 12 threes. So I believe, and the other thing I do believe, if it did go 12 threes, I think it'd be more of a boring fight than it is now. I believe Katie Taylor could go more back foot. Amanda Serrano probably wouldn't have the engine to be going forward as much. Katie Taylor would be check hooking a bit more, not getting caught up in the fight because she doesn't need to. Yeah,
Katie would win it. Katie would win it.
Even more convincingly.
Yeah,
even more convincingly. Katie Taylor, it's remarkable what the woman can do for the length of time that woman has been doing it. She just doesn't stop, and she's not slowing down, lads. She's not. So that would be the fight, to just shut everybody up, that they think Amanda Serrano would stop her. Katie Taylor got caught in the chin with one of the most beautiful Swedish shots in the first round, right? And still had to come back, and she still did 9 rounds. The blessed thing about it is the conditioning and the extra weight that Katie Taylor had. She bossed it, man. She bossed it. So yeah, that would be probably the only fight.
I'm just loving this. Is so Irish. This is so Irish. But to be fair, it's Katie Taylor, and it's not just an Irish thing. It's the fact that Katie has an engine. She's an incredible fighter. She's a trailblazer. She is who she is, and it's nothing on Amanda Serrano, because she's exactly the same. I think that we've just been so blessed in this generation to have two females that have collided at the right time, and we get to see these sort of fights. And Jam's not been very nice there. He's put, she would break you, bro. I'm sorry. That's not very nice. What? Like,
I'd probably break most men.
Keep that sort of thing to yourself. Gerard, your brother's just jumped in there. That was good. Hey, Shauna, it's your bro. But yeah, what I find in a lot of men's boxing is the first minute is finding range again, couple of shots, staying for the later rounds. It can be tedious. I think he's spot on there, absolutely spot on. And I think we always say it, me and Jam, when we do live watch-alongs, we always turn around and we say, do you know what? Yeah, the first couple of rounds, they'll feel each other out. They'll try and work the space, get the range, and then you almost go, well, it's going to take those sort of 2-3 rounds to get going. You know, there are fighters that come straight out of the block, like I said, but there are those that do that. You don't get that in women's boxing. You don't get the chance. You've got one, you know, Shauna, right? When you've had that first minute, you think, God, I've only got a minute to go. I've got to press here. There's no, you know, once you've had your first minute in the men's, you've got 2 minutes to keep doing what you're doing, work behind the jab. The women's, it's like, bang, it's over. When we do watch-alongs, they're so quick. They're been and gone, you know,
yes.
and
while we have the, sorry for cutting you there, while we have the audience listening, I have a question to ask people. Do they prefer boxing the way it was in the olden days, where the men and even the women? Because if you watch the Christy Martins of the day, man,
yeah,
she went for it. She didn't
oh, I
give
loved it.
two
What a
flying
fighter.
FUCKs at all. She just went out and she got the job done. Isn't that what people love to see? In male and female, just go out and get the job done. No dancing around, no looking at each other, no waiting to see what they're doing. Just go for it. Is that what people love to see? Because that's what I feel is missing in boxing now. You don't have two dance partners that just go for the absolute kill. There might be one, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking it away from fighters, some of them do, but there might be one that is literally bringing the fight, and then the other one's taking it away by going on the back foot or doing whatever. I know people have their styles and all, but man, wouldn't you love to see the way it used to be in the olden days, where they just meet in the center and they just go for it? Or is that
But
just...
I think it's changed, isn't it? The structure of boxing has changed. When we look at stuff like, I don't know, like Turkey Al Sheikh summed it up the other day. UFC model, the best fight and the best. That's what he's come along, and that's what he wants to do. We don't
Yeah.
get that as much anymore, do we? Let's be honest.
No, we don't. And the UFC model is the perfect model, and that's why they have
Yeah,
traction, because it is the best fighting the best.
exciting.
Nobody's veering away from anybody. Nobody's shying away from fights, and they're meeting in the center of the cage and they're going for it.
Yeah,
Whoever is the killer, like 9 times out of 10, sometimes you see a fight and technically the other one might be better, right? But it's the one that has the heart. It's the one that shows up and absolutely gives absolutely everything in that cage to win the fight, wins it. I believe that is what's missing in some fighters. It's the heart.
yeah.
Literally put everything you have on the line to win that fight. But for every single fight, man, I do believe that's what's missing in our sport. Yeah.
No, no, I'm with you. No doubt, Shauna would break most men. Your secrets are out. They're coming out. Yeah, facts. Said if Shauna got offered a 12, he's determined to get it out of it. If Shauna got offered 12 3-minute round fight now against any of the top contenders with 12 weeks notice, would she take it? Imagine Saudi money. Turkey Al Sheikh has
To
come
be
out.
honest, if I'm being totally honest, hands right up, lads. Money means absolutely nothing to me. If I'm handed a good fight and it makes sense for me, even at 12 threes, I'm willing to take it. The thing about me, like, even with Australia was a last minute thing. I went in on the B side. We only found out about that opponent Taylor 3 weeks before. The two of us only found out about each other 3 weeks before. It was massive risk for very little money, but massive reward between all the world rankings I'm after getting, the doors is after opening with the WBC, all these different things. No matter what, no matter where, no matter who, I'm willing to fight, and that's just me. I think I'm one of the old stock, which is very few that's left. Which Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, I'd even put Clarissa Shields down as one of them. They're old stock. I'm willing to do absolutely anything it is for what I do. And I am willing to lay it out no matter what. Money means absolutely nothing to me. I love my sport. I love to do what I'm doing. So, yes, 1,000,000%, I would say yes.
There we go. What's missing is fights should be forced to happen and not be dictated by the purse size. Exactly what you've just said. And Jam saying versus Harper. or Caroline Dubois. I tell you, they are fights, aren't they? They're cracking fights. That's one down the line, isn't it?
Yeah, both are cracking fights and both are inevitable. I'm a 135 fighter. The WBA just got announced. I'm now ranked as number 6 in the WBA, which is
I know.
massive.
Check you out.
Like,
Check you out.
I know I'm top 10 of all 4 governing bodies. I'm just waiting for the rest to be announced. But yeah, I got put rank number 6, and the WBC are after me now to fight for a vacant title. Things are really starting to happen. So
yes, I bet you love that,
yeah,
don't you?
I
What a
know that
feeling.
things are moving, and I swear to God, it's the best feeling in the world. It's I knew this was going to happen. I said it when I turned over last year. I knew anyone that has me on an interview, I would have said it. I'll be fast tracked. I know I'll move quickly. I firmly believe I'll be world champion before the end of 2025. And I've been saying it since I turned over in 2023.
Yeah.
And it's all coming into fruition. But it's not down to it's all down to hard work and dedication and just pure belief. But yeah, all those fights, lads. I'm 135. The 135 is stacked. It's the best and hardest weight division. But I've been lightweight since an amateur. I didn't shy away from Katie Taylor. One of my best moments as an amateur was fighting Katie Taylor. And Kelly Harrington's double Olympian, didn't shy away from her. Amy Broadhurst as well. Ireland actually had the best lightweight division in the world. And I was mixed in with them. So it's just been the way I've been. To be the best, to become the best, you have to be in with the best, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. And just while we're on the subject, a big shout out to Taylor, your previous opponent, who has been signed with Tasman Fighters. So big shout out to her as well.
I'm absolutely delighted for her, right? So I heard about the backstory. Do you know, I think it's like 4 of her fights, maybe more. She had to pay for all of them to get on the show, lad.
Yeah.
And no person, everything. Now, that is incredible. That shows the love and desire and the fire burning in the belly that she has for that sport, willing to do everything. The same like me, willing to do absolutely everything to get to where you want to go, because the belief, and you could see it. My hat's off to her. We've actually been speaking back and forth. She's a lovely, lovely girl.
Yeah.
I wish her all the best in her career. She will do well. She's a hard worker. She's a grafter, and she believes. Just keep showing up, keep working towards it. Now that she has Tasman Fighter backing her, the world is her oyster. There's possibilities. Yeah. They'll come to her.
No, definitely, definitely. Well said. And yeah, Beatrice Ferreira, says Hawkan with his eyes looking there. That's a cracking one, that is. You versus Dubois down the line would be a war. Big up, Pat, bro. I think the Beatrice fight will happen first, as Terry has an opponent, as does Dubois versus Shin. The WBA route is a good chance to be world champion, with Stephanie Hahn versus Hannah Turlep, which fighting for the vacant title on February the 22nd. Dubois will be the money fight. It will be the unification, and will be last. I think England versus Ireland and 2 super fighters. It will be the money show for female boxing. Do you know what? Yeah, what an absolute start to our series of chats. Everyone in the conversation, I have to say, big up to you as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. So it pretty much comes out of it from the 2 of us. I'm surprised we actually agree, because I wasn't sure. We didn't talk before this, did we, Shauna? So, and we won't talk before each episode, because we want it to be natural. We want it to come out as it is. And we agree on 2-minute rounds. I think, as you say, the step up would be 12 twos as opposed to, you know, going for 3 minutes. But going up to that 12 would be a lot more of a better move. But yeah, honestly, Shauna, you're an amazing woman. I'm going to keep doing my weights. I'm still not that far behind you. And don't laugh. That does nothing for my well-being whatsoever, does it?
I'm sorry, but at least you're doing something. That's amazing. You were giving me t-shirt on the podcast.
You were giving me all that praise in text message. You come on live air, you laugh at me. It's absolutely ridiculous. Fantastic first episode, Joel and Shauna. Can't wait for next week. We can't either. We'll be having a chat afterwards. But let us know, guys, if you've got any ideas of what you'd like us to talk about. Leave it in the comments after the show, and we'll see what we can do. But Shauna, thank you very much, as always, even though you laughed at me. And we will have
It's been a pleasure as always.
and we will have a catch up soon. You take care, and God bless everyone, and we'll see you all soon. You've been watching Joel and Shauna's boxing. Well, what do we go for? I suppose
we're going to have to think of the names. So if anybody has any suggestion names, shout them out as well, lads. We need something that pops. You're actually a dumb
something like that. Right. On that note, see you all soon. Shauna, thank you very much. Take care. Bye.